Picture this. It's late at night. The world is quiet, but your mind isn't. You're lying in bed, staring at the glow of your phone screen, thumb scrolling like it's on autopilot. TikTok videos, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, face after face, sound after sound, opinion after opinion. Somewhere between the laughs, the drama, and the noise, you suddenly realize
Another day just vanished.
another 24 hours gone. You told yourself you'd focus today. You told yourself you'd finally fix your routine, finally cut the toxic people, finally start building the life you keep imagining in your head. But instead, you drowned in distractions. And now, when everything is finally quiet, that silence feels heavier than anything else in the room. And let's be honest, silence scares you. Because when there's no noise, no notifications, no voices filling the space, it's just you.
And your thoughts.
And sometimes your thoughts aren't kind. Sometimes they remind you of all the things you've been avoiding. Sometimes they whisper the truths you've been too afraid to admit. But here's what no one tells you. Silence isn't your enemy. Silence is your greatest weapon. The strongest people you've ever admired, warriors, leaders, creators, even the ones history remembers as legends, all of them mastered silence. While the world screamed, they stayed still. While others begged to be heard, they let their absence speak. While people threw chaos at them, they chose not to respond.
And in that silence, they found clarity, they found power, they found freedom. Think about the last time you argued with.
Maybe it was a partner, a friend, or even a family member. You threw words like knives, desperately trying to explain yourself, to make them understand, to win the fight. But tell me the truth. Did your words ever change their heart?
Or did they only leave you drained, angry, and even more misunderstood? Words can beg.
Words can defend. Words can try to prove. But silence? Silence forces the other person to sit with themselves. Silence makes them face the truth they've been avoiding. Silence makes them feel your absence in a way your presence never could. And yet, society teaches us the opposite.
Speak your truth. Don't stay quiet. Defend yourself. Sure.
But more often than not, the louder you scream, the less people listen. The more noise you make, the easier it is for them to dismiss you. But when you fall silent, truly silent, not out of weakness but out of strength, the world notices. Because silence is louder than words, silence lingers. Silence forces people to wonder. That's what makes silence powerful. It isn't passive.
It isn't about running.
Silence is active. Silence is discipline. Silence is choosing not to waste energy proving yourself to people who already made up their mind. Silence is choosing to keep your peace instead of trying to control theirs. Silence is the ultimate statement. I don't need to explain.
I don't need to beg. I don't need to fight.
My presence, my absence, my energy, that's enough. And that's why this conversation matters. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't another self-help hack. It's not cheesy affirmations or surface-level motivation. What I'm giving you is raw. It's ancient wisdom wrapped in modern reality. These are truths about silence that can completely change the way you move, the way you see yourself, and the way you handle every relationship in your life. So if you've ever felt overlooked, if you've ever given too much to people who gave you nothing back, if you've ever wasted your energy arguing, explaining, defending, this is for you.
Because silence is not weak.
Silence is not avoidance. Silence is not losing. Silence is power. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down 6 powerful truths about silence. 6 principles that if you let them sink in, will rewire the way you carry yourself. This isn't about learning how to clap back. This isn't about winning arguments. This is about something far greater, reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your dignity without saying a single word. Because silence isn't just the absence of sound. Silence is presence. Silence is control. Silence is confidence.
And when you master silence, you become unshakable. So let me ask you one last question before we dive in. Are you ready to stop talking and start owning your silence?
Point 1. Silence protects your energy. Let's start with the truth that most people ignore. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. Not money, not time, energy. Because think about it, what good is having all the time in the world if you're too drained, too distracted, or too broken to use it? What good is money if your spirit is exhausted? Every single thing you do, from chasing your dreams to handling relationships, depends on one thing: your energy level. And silence, my friend, is the ultimate protection for that energy. See, most of us waste energy every single day without even realizing it. We waste it in arguments that don't matter. We waste it trying to explain ourselves to people who never cared to understand in the first place. We waste it proving our worth to people who already decided we weren't enough. And here's the craziest part: we give that energy away willingly.
Nobody forces us to argue. Nobody forces us to respond to that text. Nobody forces us to defend our choices.
We do it because we feel we have to. But in reality, that's the trap. Silence breaks the trap. When you choose silence, you're saying, I don't owe anyone my energy unless I decide they've earned it. That's not weakness.
That's power.
Because in a world where everybody's screaming to be heard, the person who can stay calm, stay quiet, and stay centered becomes the one with true control. Think about lions. Have you ever noticed how lions don't need to roar all the time to prove they're the king of the jungle? They don't waste energy on every small challenge. They conserve it. They save it for the moments that actually matter. They understand something that humans often forget. The loudest in the room is rarely the strongest. The strongest is the one who doesn't need to perform, doesn't need to convince, doesn't need to waste their roar on every single noise. That's what silence is. It's the lion sitting still, unbothered, because it knows its power. But here's why silence is especially powerful in your life: because people will constantly test you. They'll provoke you, push your buttons, and wait for your reaction. And every time you react, you hand them a piece of your energy. They feed off it. Toxic people thrive on reactions. That's why they poke, why they stir, why they create drama, because they want you to waste yourself on them. But when you stay silent, when you don't give them the reaction they crave, it starves them. It forces them to face themselves instead of feeding on you.
That's the greatest protection silence offers. It keeps your energy in your hands. Now, let me get personal.
We live in a culture, especially in the US, where everyone is told to clap back. Someone disrespects you,
Fire back. Someone talks behind your back. Expose them.
someone challenges you online, drag them in the comments.
That's the mentality.
But here's the reality: all of that is wasted energy. Energy that could have gone into your goals, your passions, your self-growth, your future. You think you won the argument, but really you lost the day. Silence flips that script. Silence forces people to realize they don't have access to your energy anymore. And when people can't access your energy, two things happen. The right ones respect you more, and the wrong ones fade away. Because here's something people don't admit: your energy is rare. Your focus, your attention, your time, that's gold. Not everyone deserves it. And silence is the way you remind yourself and the world that not everyone gets a piece of you. You're not a free buffet. You're a high-value soul with limited capacity, and your energy should be guarded like treasure. Now, I know some of you listening might be thinking, but if I stay silent, won't people think I'm weak? Won't they think they've won? And here's my answer: let them think whatever they want. Because silence isn't about what they think, it's about what you know. And what you know is that energy spent defending yourself to people who don't matter is energy you'll never get back. Let them talk.
Let them misunderstand. Let them gossip. You don't need to fight every battle.
You don't need to correct every rumor. You don't need to explain every move.
That's exhausting. That's endless. And the truth is, people who really know you don't need the explanation.
And people who don't want to know you won't believe the explanation anyway. So here's the principle: when you protect your silence, you protect your energy. And when you protect your energy, you protect your life. Because energy is what fuels your success, your peace, your relationships, your happiness.
Wasting it is like leaving the faucet running. You drain yourself without even noticing.
But silence?
Silence is shutting off the faucet.
Silence is saving your energy for the things and people that actually deserve it. And here's the final punch: the more you practice silence, the more powerful your energy becomes. People start to notice that you don't react easily. You're not controlled by drama. You're not available for every argument. And suddenly your energy becomes rare, and rare things are always valuable.
That's when you become untouchable.
Not because you fought the world, but because you mastered yourself. So remember this, every time you choose silence, you're not losing, you're winning.
You're protecting your energy, your peace, your dignity.
And trust me, those are things worth more than any argument you could ever win. Point 2, turn pain into power. Here's a fact nobody told you. Growing up, pain was never your enemy. The enemy was always the story you told yourself about pain. Somewhere along the way, society trained us to believe that pain means stop.
Pain means weakness.
Pain means you're not cut out for it. But let me tell you the truth. Pain is not the end of the road. It's the toll you pay to pass through it. Pain is the price of transformation. And if you want to become unshakable, unstoppable, unbreakable, you've got to flip the script. You don't run from pain. You use it. Think about it. Every breakthrough in human history was born from discomfort. The greatest athletes didn't get stronger because life was easy. They got stronger because they faced pain every single day and chose to embrace it instead of escape it. The greatest inventors didn't create because they were comfortable. They created because the pain of failure, the pain of not being enough, the pain of not having answers pushed them forward. Pain is the trigger.
Pain is the fuel. Now let's make this personal.
Look back at your own life. The moments that shaped you most, were they the easy one? No, they were the painful one. The breakup that crushed you, the rejection that made you doubt yourself, the failure that made you want to quit. But if you zoom out, you'll see something wild. Those exact moments were also the ones that forced you to grow.
You didn't break, you adapted.
You didn't collapse. You built resilience.
That's the secret. Pain was never trying to destroy you.
It was trying to rebuild you into someone stronger. The problem is, most of us misinterpret pain. We treat it like a stop sign when it's really a green light. We say, I don't feel like going to the gym today, but that discomfort, that's the signal you should go. We say, this task feels too hard, but that difficulty, that's the exact reason you need to push through. Because every time you step into pain instead of running from it, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that resistance is not danger, it's growth. Here's a perspective shift that'll change your life. Pain is a compass. Wherever you feel resistance, or wherever you feel fear, wherever you feel discomfort, that's the direction you need to go.
That's where growth.
That's where the stronger version of you is waiting. Avoiding it doesn't protect you. Avoiding it keeps you stuck, and I get it.
Nobody likes pain.
Your brain is wired to avoid it.
That's survival.
But survival mode is not where greatness lives. Survival mode is where comfort lives. And comfort, if you stay there too long, becomes a cage. You stop expanding. You stop challenging yourself. You stop living. You exist, but you don't evolve.
Pain is what smashes that cage open. Let me give you an image.
Imagine your future self, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The version of you with the career, the confidence, the peace, the strength you want. Do you really think that version of you got there by avoiding pain?
No, they got there by using pain as their alarm clock.
Every time pain showed up, they didn't say, not today. They said, perfect. This is the test. Let's go. And step by step, they built themselves into the warrior you're dreaming about becoming. Now let's talk practical. How do you actually turn pain into power? Here's the system. Every time you feel resistance, reframe it. Instead of, this hurts, I want to quit, say, this hurts, which means I'm leveling up. Instead of,
this is uncomfortable, say, this is training. Instead of,
I don't feel like it, say, good, that means I must. Do this enough and pain stops being the thing that blocks you. It becomes the signal that you're on the right path. Think about working out. If you lift weights and feel no resistance, what happens?
Nothing, no growth.
No strength, no change. The resistance is the growth. That's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual too. Every challenge you face is a rep for your soul. Every setback is a push-up for your resilience. Every disappointment is a deadlift for your spirit. You don't get stronger by avoiding the weight. You get stronger by embracing it. Here's another truth bomb. Pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent. The pain of discipline lasts minutes, maybe hours. But the pain of regret?
That lasts a life.
When you avoid discomfort today, you're not choosing peace. You're choosing a heavier pain later. The pain of what if, the pain of wasted potential, the pain of knowing you had more in you but you never chose to unlock it. That's the worst pain of all. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel pain, don't back off. Don't see it as a wall. See it as a doorway.
Step through it.
Because on the other side of that discomfort is the version of you you've been chasing all along. And I want you to remember this mantra. Let it burn into your mind. Pain is not punishment. Pain is preparation. It's not there to break you. It's there to build you. It's not the enemy, it's the ally. And if you stop running from it, if you start using it, you'll realize something powerful. You were never weak. You were just avoiding the training ground. Pain is life's way of asking you, do you really want this? Or are you just saying you do? And the ones who answer by walking straight into the fire, those are the ones who come out forged, unshakable, unstoppable.
That can be you.
But only if you stop fearing pain and start using it. So the next time you hear that little voice in your head saying, I don't feel like it,
Smile, because that's the cue.
that's the green light. That's life giving you your shot. And your only job? Step in, feel the pain, and let it make you powerful. Point 3, begging for closure is self-betrayal. Let's be real for a second. Everyone talks about closure like it's this magical key that finally unlocks peace. But if you've ever begged for it, you already know the ugly truth. It almost never comes the way you hope. Begging for closure doesn't heal you. It chains you to the very thing that broke you. And the harshest truth of all? Begging for closure is actually a form of self-betrayal. Think about it. When you're asking someone to give you closure, what you're really saying is, please tell me why you hurt me.
Please explain why I wasn't in.
Please validate my pain so I can finally move on. But stop and ask yourself, why would you hand that kind of power to the very person who disrespected you? Why would you make your healing dependent on their explanation? That's like asking the thief who robbed your house to come back and help you clean it up. Doesn't make sense, and yet we all do it. Why? Because closure feels like certainty.
It feels like control.
If they just explain, if they just apologize, if they just tell me the truth, I'll finally have peace. But here's the paradox. The moment you go chasing closure, you lose more of yourself. You end up digging for answers in a place where there are none. Let me give you a scenario.
Imagine you're ghosted.
One day, the person who said they cared just disappears. No explanation, no warning, just silence.
Instantly, your mind goes into overdrive. What did I do wrong? Why didn't I see it coming?
Did I mess up?
That spiral?
That's what begging for closure creates. You keep handing them the keys to your peace, hoping they'll unlock the door, but they've already moved on. You're stuck in the waiting room of your own life, sitting there with your self-worth in their hand. That's what I mean by self-betrayal.
Because deep down, you already know the truth.
If they cared, they would have stayed. If they respected you, you wouldn't have to beg. If they wanted to make it right, you wouldn't be asking them to. So why chase a conversation that will only hurt you more? The Stoics understood this. They taught that real strength isn't about convincing others. It's about mastering yourself. Epictetus once said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Translation? Stop waiting for them to explain why they disrespected you. Show yourself that you respect you enough to walk away without their permission.
That's real closure. But here's the tricky part.
Our egos get in the way. Ego whispers, if I just tell them how I feel, maybe they'll finally get it. Ego convinces you that if you explain yourself perfectly, they'll realize they were wrong. But let me break it to you. People who hurt you didn't do it because they misunderstood you. They did it because they were willing to. And no perfect explanation changes that. Every time you run back trying to squeeze answers out of someone who doesn't care, you're stabbing your own growth. You're telling yourself, their validation matters more than my healing. That's the betrayal. Not theirs, yours. Here's what real closure looks like. You stop waiting for them to return your energy. You stop replaying conversations that never happened. You stop scripting speeches in your head that will never be delivered. You accept their silence as the answer, because silence is an answer. Distance is an answer. Their actions are the truth.
And every second you spend demanding they explain themselves is a second you're denying the reality that's already in front of you. Let's get raw here. Maybe you wanted them to say, I'm sorry. The truth? Even if they did, would it really undo the pain?
Maybe you wanted them to admit, "You were good to me, I didn't deserve you." But do you really need their words to validate what you already know? Or maybe you wanted them to say, "I'll change." But let's be honest, if they were going to change, they already would have. The lesson is simple but brutal. The closure you're searching for from them is actually something only you can give yourself. And you give it the moment you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop begging, and start walking. So here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" Start asking, "Why did I allow myself to stay in a space where this was possible?"
That question is uncomfortable. It stings.
But it puts the power back where it belongs, with you. And once the power is back in your hands, that's when the real healing starts. Here's a mantra for you. Closure isn't given. Closure is chosen. You don't wait for it. You don't beg for it. You decide it. You create it by saying, "I don't need their apology.
I don't need their explanation. I don't need their approval.
My silence is my closure." And I promise you, when you choose closure for yourself, something shifts inside you. The need to be understood fades. The urge to chase dies. And in its place, you feel something you haven't in a long time: peace. So the next time you're tempted to reach out, to send that last text, to write that long message explaining everything, pause. Ask yourself, am I healing myself right now or betraying myself? If it's betrayal, stay silent, walk away.
That silence stingeth.
But eventually it will become your shield. It will become your power. It will become the kind of closure no one can take from you, because closure isn't something they give you with words. It's something you claim with dignity. And once you understand that, you'll never beg for it again. Point 4, silence exposes what words try to hide. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Words are easy.
Anyone can say the right thing. Anyone can fake an apology.
Anyone can put together the perfect excuse, the perfect "I didn't mean it," or the perfect "I'll change." But silence? Silence has no mask. Silence is raw. Silence exposes what words are desperately trying to cover. Think about it. When you pull back and stop talking, no texts, no explanations, no chasing, the illusion falls apart.
Suddenly there's nothing left for them to hide behind.
Because here's the truth. Words create noise, but silence reveals reality. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone wronged you. They disrespected you, lied to you, maybe even manipulated you. If you confront them with words, they'll fight back with more words, excuses, stories, half-truths. They'll talk their way around accountability. But when you go silent, they're left alone with nothing but their actions. And actions don't lie. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." That's exactly what we're talking about.
Stop listening to words.
Watch patterns. Stop chasing explanations. Observe behaviors. Because words can be rehearsed, but pattern,
They're instinct.
and silence gives you the perfect vantage point to finally see them. Let me give you an example. You stop texting. You stop calling. You stop pouring energy into someone who never matched it. What happens? The one who truly values you will notice your absence. They'll reach out. They'll miss you. They'll try to reconnect. But the one who was only there for convenience, they'll vanish. They'll move on without hesitation.
That silence. That's not just empty space. It's evidence.
It shows you exactly where you stand in their life. And sometimes the silence makes people angry. They get frustrated, they lash out, they accuse you of being cold or immature. But here's the catch, they're not angry because you hurt them.
They're angry because they lost control.
Your silence exposes the fact that their words no longer have power over you. And for manipulators, that's terrifying. This is why silence is so powerful. It doesn't need to scream to be heard. It doesn't need to argue to win. It just is. And in that stillness, everything fake falls away. Let's be honest. How many times have you fallen for words? Someone told you they'd change. Someone swore they'd do better. Someone promised they cared. And maybe you believed it because you wanted to. But then the cycle repeated.
Same pattern, same disappointment. Why?
Because you were judging them by their words instead of their silence. The Stoics were masters of this discipline. They didn't waste time reacting to every word someone threw at them. They knew words were cheap. Instead, they observed. They watched. They let silence reveal who someone really was. And when you start doing the same, you stop getting played by pretty sentences. Here's what silence shows you. Who checks on you when you're not available? Who disappears the moment you stop giving?
Who grows uncomfortable when they can't provoke a reaction?
Who respects your absence and who takes advantage of it? That's truth. Pure, unfiltered, undeniable truth.
And yeah, it hurts sometimes.
Because silence can show you that someone you loved never really loved you back. It can show you that someone you trusted never truly valued you. It can show you that the person who said forever actually meant until it's convenient. But as painful as that truth is, it's better than the comfortable lie words keep you trapped in. Lies keep you spinning in circles. Truth, no matter how raw, sets you free. Let's go deeper. Silence isn't just about exposing others, it's about exposing yourself to yourself. When you stop talking, stop chasing, stop performing, you hear your own inner voice. And that voice often says things you've been avoiding. You stayed too long. You ignored the signs.
You gave too many chances. Harsh? Yes, but freeing? Absolutely. That's why silence is such a...
It's not passive, it's clarity. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not avoidance, it's discernment. And here's the most important part. Silence protects your dignity. Because every time you argue with someone who's already decided to mistreat you, you're lowering your value. Every time you beg for them to just explain, you're giving away your power. But when you go silent, you're saying without words, I see the truth.
I don't need your
Your actions already explained everything. That level of calm detachment, that's strength.
That's confidence.
That's unshakable self-respect. And trust me, it hits harder than any loud confrontation ever could. So the next time someone tries to lure you back in with sweet words, don't rush to respond. Watch, observe, let your silence speak. Because silence will expose whether their words are genuine or just another illusion. And once you've seen the truth in silence, you can never unsee it. You'll never again settle for words when actions don't match. You'll never again confuse noise for love. You'll never again beg for explanations that don't matter, because you'll know deep down that silence already told you everything you needed to know. Point 5. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. Most people don't fail because they're weak.
They don't fail because they're stupid.
They don't fail because they didn't have potential. They fail because they got comfortable. And comfort, my friend, is the silent killer of greatness. Think about it. Comfort feels good in the moment. The warm bed, the endless scroll on your phone, the extra slice of pizza, the I'll do it tomorrow excuse.
It feels harmless.
But over time, comfort becomes a cage.
And worse, you decorate that cage.
You put lights on it, you make it cozy, you convince yourself it's freedom, while your dreams rot in the corner. Let me tell you something raw. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is a parasite.
It feeds on your ambition.
It drains your hunger. It whispers, you've done enough, you deserve a break. And once you start listening, it owns you. The dangerous thing about comfort is that it doesn't destroy you overnight. No, it kills you slow.
One missed workout here.
One skipped goal there. One day of procrastination, then 2, then 3. And before you know it, years pass. You look back and wonder, what happened to the fire I once had? That's the tragedy of comfort. It robs you without making a sound. Now here's the twist. Comfort isn't evil in itself. Rest, recovery, enjoying life, those things matter. But when comfort becomes your default state, when your brain is addicted to the easy path, that's when it turns from a tool into a toxin. Here's a question for you. Do you want to be remembered as someone who coasted through life or someone who broke the limits? Do you want to be the person who said, I could have been great, but I was too tired? Or the person who said, I was tired, but I still showed up? See, history doesn't remember the comfortable. Nobody writes books about the guy who always played it safe. Nobody makes movies about the girl who never took risks. Legends aren't born in comfort, they're forged in fire. Michael Jordan didn't get comfortable after his first championship. Kobe Bryant didn't stop training because he already made millions. Steve Jobs didn't settle after building the first computer.
They kept pushing because they knew the second you relax.
The second you say, I've made it, the second you get comfortable, that's when the decline begins. Here's the mindset shift. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your edge. It's your advantage. Because while the majority of people chase comfort, the few who chase discomfort build greatness. You want success? Choose the cold shower. Choose the early alarm. Choose the extra rep when your body screams no. Choose the scary conversation you've been avoiding. Choose the risk that makes your heart race. That's where growth hides. Comfort is like quicksand. The more you give in, the deeper you sink. But discomfort? Discomfort is the rope that pulls you out. Every time you step into discomfort, you're reminding yourself, I'm not here to survive.
I'm here to dominate, and here's the beauty. You don't need massive discomfort to change your life. Start small.
Do something every day that makes you uncomfortable.
Speak up in a meeting. Take a cold shower.
Do push-ups until your arms shake. Wake up before the sun. Every little act of discomfort is a message to your brain. We don't settle.
We grow, but let me warn you, your brain will fight back.
It will tell you this is too hard.
This doesn't matter.
You can quit and no one will know, and that's where most people lose. They believe the lie.
They go back to the couch.
They sink deeper into the comfort trap. But if you push through, if you say, I hear you, brain, but I'm moving anyway, something shifts. You start to love discomfort. You start to crave the challenge. You start to rewire your identity into someone who thrives under pressure. And when that happens, comfort loses its grip. It can whisper, it can tempt, but it no longer controls you. Here's the brutal truth. Comfort creates regret. 10 years from now, you won't regret the pain of discipline, but you will regret the chains of comfort. Regret weighs more than hard work ever will. So ask yourself, do you want the pain of discipline today or the pain of regret tomorrow? Because either way, pain is coming. The difference is one builds you and the other breaks you. Comfort is the silent killer of greatness. But discomfort? Discomfort is the birthplace of legends. So stop making your life soft.
Stop chasing the easy route.
Stop letting comfort lull you to sleep. Choose discomfort. Choose growth. Choose greatness, because in the end, comfort feels good today, but it kills you tomorrow. Point 6. You are not broken. You are just untapped. Let me hit you with the truth that no one ever told you. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not stupid. You are not doomed to be average. What you are is untapped. Think about it. From the day you were born, you carried inside you a raw, explosive potential. But life covered it with noise, with doubt, with failure, with other people's expectations, with comfort and distraction. And over time, you started believing the lie. Maybe I'm just not built for greatness. That's not reality. That's programming. You've been conditioned to settle, conditioned to fit in, conditioned to shrink yourself so you don't make others uncomfortable. And the saddest part, you believed it. You forgot that fire that used to live in your chest when you were younger. That wild belief that you could actually do something insane with your life. But let me remind you, the fire isn't gone. It's buried. And buried things can be dug up. Here's the raw deal. The system doesn't want you unleashed. A distracted, comfortable, half-asleep human is easy to control. You scroll, you consume, you buy, you obey. But the moment you wake up, the moment you say, wait, I'm not broken,
I'm powerful, you become dangerous.
And that's exactly what you need to be. Because the truth is, your life will only change the day you stop looking at yourself as damaged and start looking at yourself as dormant. Dormant is different. Dormant means there's power inside you that hasn't been activated yet. Dormant means you're not failing, you're charging. And the moment you flip the switch, game over. Look at history. Every legend, every icon, every world changer had a season where nobody believed in them, where they looked broken, where they looked lost. Steve Jobs got fired from his own company. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if they believed the lie that they were broken. The world would have never seen their greatness. So why are you doing that to yourself?
Why are you writing yourself off before the story is even written? Let me tell you something that should shake you to your core. You have no idea what you're capable of. None. You haven't even scratched the surface.
You think you're giving life 70%, maybe 80%. But in reality, you're operating at 20%. You're living on autopilot.
And deep down, you know it. That's why you feel restless.
That's why you feel empty after scrolling for hours. That's why achievements don't satisfy you for long. Because some part of you knows this isn't it.
There's more in. I'm just not using it. So how do you tap into?
You stop lying to yourself. You stop saying, I'll start tomorrow. You stop waiting for motivation to magically appear.
You stop telling yourself you're broken.
And instead you decide, I'm not broken.
I'm untapped.
And today, I start unlocking it. That's the key.
Not tomorrow.
Not someday. Today. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody's coming to save you. Not your parents. Not your boss. Not your best friend.
Not some magical guru on the internet.
If you want your life to shift, you have to grab the wheel and turn it yourself. And you can. That's the part you keep forgetting. You can. You can wake up tomorrow and write the first page of the book you've been putting off. You can apply for the job you think you're unqualified for. You can cut off the toxic friend who's been draining you. You can hit the gym even if your body screams no. You can do something that your future self will look back on and say, that was the day everything changed, and guess what? The first move doesn't have to be huge. The power is in small shifts done consistently. That's how mountains move, one rock at a time. But here's the catch. You need to stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for the fear to vanish. Fear never disappears. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving while fear rides shotgun. You're not broken. You've just been sitting too long on the sidelines, convincing yourself you can't play the game. But the truth? You've had the strength to step in the whole time. So let me ask you, how much longer are you going to waste your potential? How many more days will you let slip through your fingers? How many more excuses will you pile on before you finally snap and say, enough? Today I rise, because whether you rise or not, time doesn't care. The clock is ticking, days are passing. And every day you choose to stay comfortable, every day you believe you're broken, is another day stolen from your greatness. But the second you choose differently, the second you decide to see yourself as untapped instead of broken, you win.
Not tomorrow.
That very second. So remember this, you are not broken. You are not done. You are not finished. You are a sleeping giant.
And giants don't stay asleep forever. Wake up.
Tap in, unleash, your story is still being written.